Mauretania is one of those countries that looks simple on a map, but becomes far more complex the closer you look. It sits on the western edge of the Sahara, where North Africa, West Africa, the Arab world, and the Atlantic Ocean all meet. Officially called the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, it is part of the Maghreb region, yet geographically and culturally it also belongs deeply to West Africa. This position has shaped almost everything about the country: its languages, its politics, its trade routes, its religious identity, and even its social divisions. Mauretania is vast, sparsely populated, and often overlooked internationally, but it occupies a strategically important space between desert and coast, between Arab and sub-Saharan Africa, and between a long nomadic past and the pressures of a modern state. By land area, Mauretania is the 11th largest country in Africa and the 28th largest in the world. But size here can be misleading. Around 90% of its territory lies within the Sahara Desert, making much of the country extremely dry, thinly populated, and difficult to farm. Its borders stretch from the Atlantic Ocean in the west to Mali in the east and southeast, with Western Sahara to the north and northwest, Algeria to the northeast, and Senegal to the southwest. This geography creates sharp contrasts. The north and interior are dominated by desert landscapes, dunes, rocky plateaus, and old caravan routes, while the south, closer to the Senegal River, is more temperate and more densely settled. In Mauretania, geography is not background scenery. It is the central condition that determines where people live, how they move, and what kind of economy can survive. Most Mauretanians live in the southern part of the country, where the climate is less harsh and access to water and agriculture is more realistic. The total population is about 4.3 million, remarkably small for such a large country. Roughly a third of those people live in the capital, Nouakchott, on the Atlantic coast. This concentration tells an important story. Nouakchott began as a modest settlement but grew rapidly after independence, as drought, desertification, and economic change pushed people away from traditional rural and nomadic livelihoods. Today it is the country's largest city, political center, and economic hub. Its growth reflects a broader transformation. Mauretania has moved from a society where mobility and desert life were central, toward one increasingly shaped by urbanization, state institutions, ports, and global markets. The name Mauretania comes from Mauretania, the Latin term for an ancient region of the Mediterranean Maghreb. That ancient Mauretania was not identical to today's country. It extended across areas further north, from parts of present-day northern Algeria toward the Atlantic in Morocco. Still, the name connects modern Mauretania to a much older North African historical world. Long before the modern state existed, Berber populations occupied the region, and by the beginning of the 3rd century CE, Berber communities were part of the area that would become Mauretania. For centuries, the Sahara was not simply an empty barrier. It was a space of movement, trade, and cultural exchange. Routes across the desert connected North Africa with the Sahel, carrying salt, gold, religious ideas, languages, and political influence. A major turning point came with the arrival of Arab tribes beginning in the late 7th century. These migrations brought Islam, Arab culture, and the Arabic language into the region. Over time, Islam became deeply rooted and is now the state religion, with almost the entire population identifying as Sunni Muslim. Mauretania's official language is Arabic, and the country is a member of the Arab League, reinforcing its political and cultural connection to the Arab world. But this Arab identity does not erase the country's African diversity. Mauretania's society developed through centuries of interaction among Berber groups, Arab tribes, and sub-Saharan African communities. The result is a country that cannot be understood through one label alone. It is Arab, African, Saharan, Atlantic, Islamic, and multi-ethnic all at once. Mauretania's population is often described through 3 broad social and ethnic groupings, though the reality is more nuanced. The Haratan make up about 40% of the population. They are often described as descendants of formerly enslaved black Africans who became culturally Arabaized over time. The Bidhan, sometimes called white Moors, make up about 30% and have historically held much of the political and social power. The remaining 30% includes various sub-Saharan ethnic groups, including communities associated with Pular, Sonic, and Wolof languages. These languages are recognized as national languages, even though Arabic is the official language. This multi-ethnic structure is central to Mauretania's identity, but it has also been tied to inequality, social hierarchy, and political tension. In the early 20th century, Mauretania was colonized by France and incorporated into French West Africa. French colonial rule reshaped borders, administration, and political authority, but it did not transform Mauretania in the same way it transformed some more densely populated colonies. Much of the country remained difficult to control because of its desert geography, nomadic populations, and powerful local social structures. Still, colonization placed Mauretania within a French imperial system that linked it administratively to West Africa. When Mauretania gained independence in 1960, it inherited modern borders, a fragile state structure, and the challenge of building national unity across a vast desert territory. Like many post-colonial states, it had to turn inherited colonial boundaries into a functioning political community. Since independence, Mauretania's political history has been marked by instability, coups, and periods of military rule. The country has repeatedly struggled to build durable democratic institutions. One of the most significant recent episodes was the 2008 coup led by General Mohamed Ould Abdelaziz. After taking power, he went on to win presidential elections in 2009 and again in 2014. His successor, General Mohamed Ould Ghazouani, came to office after the 2019 elections. That transfer of power was widely considered Mauretania's first peaceful transition from one elected president to another since independence. This was an important milestone, but it did not erase the country's long pattern of military influence in politics. Mauretania's government remains shaped by the balance between civilian institutions, security concerns, and powerful elite networks. Mauretania also has a serious and internationally criticized human rights record, especially concerning slavery. Although slavery has been legally abolished, the practice and its social legacy have persisted in different forms. The 2018 Global Slavery Index estimated that around 90,000 people in Mauretania were living in conditions of slavery, about 2.1% of the population. This issue is closely tied to historical social hierarchy, inherited status, poverty, and dependence between families and communities. It is not only a legal problem, but a social and economic one. Even when formal ownership is outlawed, people can remain trapped by lack of land, education, income, documentation, or protection. For Mauretania, confronting slavery means confronting one of the deepest contradictions in its national identity, a modern Islamic republic still struggling with inherited systems of human bondage and discrimination. Economically, Mauretania has natural resources, but remains a poor country. Its economy is based primarily on agriculture and fishing, with the Atlantic coast providing an important source of livelihood and export potential. Yet agriculture is limited by climate, water availability, and the fact that so much of the country is desert. Fishing is valuable, but it depends on careful management of marine resources and fair access to coastal wealth. Mauretania's poverty is not simply the result of geography, though geography matters greatly. It is also connected to limited infrastructure, uneven development, social inequality, and the difficulty of governing such a large and sparsely populated territory. The contrast is striking, a country rich in space, culture, coastline, and resources, but still facing major challenges in converting those assets into broad-based prosperity. Mauretania's place in the world is unusual because it sits across several regional identities. Politically and culturally, it is part of the Arab world, and its official language and state religion reflect that. Geographically and historically, it is also part of West Africa, connected to Senegal, Mali, and the wider Sahel. Its Atlantic coast links it to maritime trade, while its desert interior links it to Saharan history and nomadic traditions. This layered identity can be a source of richness, but also tension. Different communities may experience the state differently, and questions of language, representation, race, and history remain sensitive. To understand Mauretania, it is not enough to call it an Arab country or an African country. It is a bridge between both, shaped by the opportunities and conflicts of that position. Mauretania is often reduced to a few facts: a desert country, a poor country, an Islamic Republic, or a place with a troubling slavery problem. All of those descriptions contain truth, but none is complete on its own. Mauretania is a vast Saharan state with a small population concentrated mostly in the south and in Nouakchott. It carries ancient Berber, Arab, and sub-Saharan African influences. It was shaped by Islam, caravan trade, French colonialism, military politics, and modern urbanization. It has natural resources and a strategic coastline, but also deep poverty and inequality. Most importantly, it is a country where geography, identity, and history remain inseparable. Mauretania matters because it shows how the Sahara is not an empty space between regions, but a world of its own, connecting civilizations while challenging the states built across it. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.